So now we are on Metal Slug 4. Metal Slug 4 was originally released in 2002 and in America it was released on the Neo Geo and PS2 in 2005. It was also released as part of the Metal Slug 4 and 5 pack on Xbox and PS2. Metal Slug 4 is notable for being the first Metal Slug to not be made by the original team. See, SNK actually went bankrupt a bit before the game came out, and Mega Enterprise held the rights to Metal Slug after the bankruptcy, and they really like Metal Slug, so they decided if they don't have the original people to make it right now, they would make one of their own. So here we are with Metal Slug 4, often looked at as the odd one out in the Metal Slug series for not being developed directly by SNK. Anyway, Metal Slug 4 takes place after 3, and there really doesn't seem to be much of a plot here. The classic general seems to be here, but there is a new villain group known as Amadeus. I think that's how you say it. They are apparently creating a new cyber virus that could actually destroy the entire world's military system. I actually got that from the wiki since the game makes no mention of this at all. While Metal Slug games usually have very little plot in them, this is even less than the previous games, and the new group gets like no screen time at all till like the end of the game, not even a mention. And I can easily say it's the weakest plot for the mainline Metal Slug games. Something else that is different is the characters. Metal Slug 4 introduces Trevor and Nadia. They are called in because Tarma and Ari are busy, I guess. I don't know how, they show up in the levels, but whatever. They're not playable, that sucks. The main gameplay is thankfully still pretty Metal Slug. It still is similar enough to the other main games where you kill everything and blow shit up. The branching paths are gone though, that sucks. A bonus scoring system was added that allows players to be rewarded depending on how many enemies are killed in the time allotted. You have to pick up an emblem for this to begin. However, you actually have to not die after that and finish the level to get hella extra points. And my friend and I, yeah, we couldn't do that, we suck. So I never even got to use this new bonus point system to the fullest. All the weapons from Metal Slug 3 return, which is cool, and they add a new one, the double heavy machine gun, which is 2 submachine guns and fires fast. It's pretty lazy, I'm not gonna lie, but it's a fine addition and doesn't take anything away from the game. There are some new slugs as well, however it seems that all of them are actually just enemy vehicles from previous games. The Bradley, which shoots rockets, the Metal Crow, which shreds enemies, is here, but it's only in 2-player. The Crawler, which is like the crane thing from Metal Slug 2 and has a nice machine gun. I don't really know. And then there's also the Forklift, which I'll be honest is easily the worst vehicle in Metal Slug history. This thing is laughably bad. It just goes up and down and stabs enemies with the forks. It sucks. It's a waste of time honestly, and I felt stupid from using it. There is actually a new transformation in the game, which is the monkey transformation. It's only in 1 or 2 stages and doesn't really change all that much. It's pretty similar to being a mummy. But, I mean, mummy, monkey, pretty similar, right? I mean, they can grab monkey bars, but I never saw any of that in the game. That's really it for Metal Slug 4 in terms of new additions. There's an area where you go down on a rope similar to Battletoads. I think that's new. There are 6 stages in the game, and I'll be honest, a lot of them feel pretty lifeless. What I mean is, a lot of them don't really stand out at all, and they all feel very similar to the previous 4 games. I guess being on the bikes was different, but I don't know, something about these levels just didn't stick with me like the previous couple games. The pacing seems fine enough as well, but the bottom line is it's more Metal Slug. When it comes to the graphics of Metal Slug 4, there's no change here. They're exactly the same as Metal Slug 3. Everything looks good and has some pretty high quality sprite work. Everything looks pretty good, but like I said, there's no improvement from 3. The frame rate is really well done, so luckily that's good. All the sprites look pretty good, and the new ones, if there really are any new ones, are decent enough. I will say a majority, if almost all of the sprites in the game are actually reused from previous games. All the textures look fine, there's nothing wrong here. Overall, the graphics are just that, fine. The sound I'm a bit mixed on though. The sound effects are all classic Metal Slug, there's nothing really wrong there, and I'll say everything sounded pretty good to me. Maybe a few sound effects were changed here or there, but most of them were pretty similar. The quality is standard Metal Slug as well. My issue is the music. I'm sorry, but Metal Slug 4, when it comes to the music, might be the weakest in like the entire series. There's just nothing memorable here. A majority of it isn't hard rock and awesome. In fact, a majority of it just sounds generic, even for Metal Slug. It just doesn't have that charm, that tempo, and it really doesn't have what made the other soundtracks, in my opinion. And the soundtrack was not done by the original people. It's very clear, because it's not good. In fact, I'd say it's the worst soundtrack in the entire series. Maybe second worst, if it's lucky. And it's easily my biggest disappointment with the game. But that's just the music. What else do I think is wrong with the game? Well, like I said earlier, the levels don't feel special, and they're definitely not anywhere near as memorable as the previous games. I'd say that a majority of the levels just honestly feel like you're going through the motions. A lot of it feels like autopilot. Nothing stands out really at all. And if it does, it's probably not for the better. Like this platforming section near the end of the game, I thought this just sucked. Like, this part was not good and one of the worst parts of any Metal Slug. Also, that forklift that I mentioned might be the worst vehicle in Metal Slug. But that's really my main issue with the game, is it just doesn't do anything new or different from Metal Slug, and it's been done much better multiple times before. So it's like, why would I play this newer, inferior one and not the old one that's way better, that looks identical to this and plays identical? The game isn't bad, there's just not much to it. If you've played every other Metal Slug, you already know what to expect. It's like, yeah, it's another Metal Slug to add to your plate. I mean, otherwise, I'd say if you haven't played this one, there's really no reason to play it. I mean, if you even see it in the arcade, I'd skip it. Metal Slug 4 is a pretty average game as a whole, and I'm sure the reason for that is because it wasn't by the original team. However, luckily after this, SNK would get their shit together, and Metal Slug 5 would go back to having SNK develop it. So, I'll see you guys on the much better Metal Slug 5.